back of the box.
Is it even real?
Yeah, it's real.
No, I know that Is her love real?
Just because you chose this for her doesn't make it less real.
Firstly, I want to say that Obsession is objectively a good movie by any visible metric. Subjectively, it's a great movie if you go by most of the discourse that surrounds it on the internet, single-handedly saving the Hollywood May and June box office ass by putting the general public's butts in theater seats, while hopefully signing the death warrant for the overpriced, overproduced, underwritten entertainment slot that has become the norm for the last 10 to 15 years, give or take. But could it be better? I think yes. What's good, guys and gals? I'm JB, your mainstream millennial, and in this series, my objective is to outline how I think I could do just that by changing the least amount possible within the movie's given framework. With that being said, there are going to be spoilers ahead as I explain the basic plot outline and give context to the changes I suggest. If you haven't seen it yet and you don't want that, I completely understand. Please go see it. I think you'll like it. I'd comfortably give it a 9 out of 10. If you have, or decide to come back after having watched it, please let me know what you think of my suggestions in the comments down below, because I think I can make you love it. Cool. So Obsession is about a small group of friends that all work at a music store. I know, right? Crazy that there's an intimate group of friends that go out and socialize together working at a music store of all places in the big year of our Lord 2026. Or 2025 when it was actually first released. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the call of better times that preceded us in the 90s and early 2000s. This is probably done to remind you that this is in fact not real. Immersion breaking aside, our core characters are Baron, or Bear as they call him, with Ian, Nikki, and Sarah. Bear is our main character, an unconfident introvert who has a crush on Nikki. Because he's a big doofus who can't seem to think abstractly, he doubts himself into a hole which he can't bring himself out of to muster up the courage required to simply ask her out. Gosh, I remember when I was 13. Oh wait, this is a 20-something-year-old man.
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
Anywho, Bear tells his douchey best friend Ian that he's gonna go ask her out. Ian is unsupportive because he's a dick and is worried this could affect the social dynamics of the group if Bear tells Nikki the truth. I'm gonna jump ahead a second because fuck Ian, okay? He super sucks, so he's not Bear's friend. Eventually, it's revealed that Ian has already been having sex with Nikki for years. That's not the problem. People are allowed to do what they want, have fun with whoever or whatever, as long as it's not illegal and no one gets hurt, right? Nikki's hot, and since they are consenting adults, I do not begrudge him of that. Keep consenting in mind, though, because it is of the utmost importance in this movie. What's not okay is listening to your buddy pine away about how much he likes this girl, and you just sit there withholding this key information.
Why didn't you tell me? Well, because I wanted us to fail.
If Ian even cared about Bear, the correct thing to do would have been to tell him the truth. That way you're keeping it real with your boy, and he can make the informed decision to accept that and still try to go out with her, or hopefully help him figure out this time would be better spent elsewhere so he's not wasting more of the prime years of his life away. Also, possibly preventing the resulting carnage later altogether. But Ian seems more than happy to keep the casual thing going with Nikki, which again is fine, but he's a hypocrite because it's okay when he risks the group's social dynamics, but for his own pursuits. When Bear wants to do it, though, it's not okay because it might harsh Ian's vibes, so it actively shoots him down because he's a fucking loser. If any of what I just described sounds like something a dude in your life would do, I warn you now, he is not your friend. Again, fuck Ian, okay?
Friends like these, huh, Gary?
That's right, dude.
Back to Bear, he comes home to find his cat Sandy dead on the floor and having gotten into some prescription medication. Well, that is super sad. R.I.P. Sandy.
Oh, Sandy. Oh, Sandy.
I'm going to call bullshit on this cat just happening to get inside this pill bottle as presented. Wait till this kid who made this movie needs to get into some prescription pills for pain relief after some surgery. Like when you wake up in the middle of the night, out of it, trying to struggle to unscrew the cap in the dark, and then tell me how you think this 10 to 15 pound animal with no opposable thumbs was able to do this. They want the cat dead for later, so I would have shown Bear in a cold opening abusing the pills, which don't belong to him, by the way, according to the prescription. While he's throwing them back, he spills the bottle on the floor, and he doesn't take the time to clean them up properly because he's too worried about going to go see Nikki. This would have made it actually his fault, and added foreshadowing for how much he obsesses over Nikki to the detriment of those around him.
He said it! He said it!
Bear almost decides not to go out that night, but divine intervention seems to involve itself when he gets a call from Nikki, who tells him she's excited to see him because she has something that she wants to tell him. Weird how things like that always tend to happen, right? It's almost as if the stars are aligning, doing everything in their power, aside from forming into a glowing neon sign that says, Bear, just fucking talk to her, right in front of his face.
Here's your sign.
Our oblivious boy begrudgingly decides to go, and taking inspiration from Nikki telling him that she lost a crystal necklace she likes, makes a pit stop at some hipster store a la Earthbound for a replacement. Bear squirrels, though, because he asks the girl that works there what the different crystals mean.
Big mistake, kid.
And immediately gets bogged down overthinking it because he doesn't know which one would work best for Nikki. My brother in Christ, get out of your own way, okay? Speaking as a married man in his 30s whose life loves Earthbound, Here's the strat. Just buy her a pretty looking rock, dude. It's all bullshit anyway. This company isn't going to be making any money selling stones that are meant to telepathically produce the brown note to make you shit yourself in public, okay? So all of them are meant to improve some vague positive characteristic. She'll either appreciate the gesture or not. And if she doesn't, you've saved yourself a whole lot of trouble for like $20. Most guys would count that as a good return on investment. Trust me. Bear looks around the store and finds the movie's MacGuffin, a one-wish willow, which is just a stick in the package that claims to grant one wish. All in all, probably not a bad replacement gift for a hippie chick in a tchotchke shop. Had he just given it to Nikki as he originally planned, it might have gone over well, but I'm sure you can guess, of course he doesn't.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
Bear shows up to the bar, gets no support from Super Douche Ian, and has a public breakdown about his dead cat. Bro, what are you doing? You must not show emotion ever. Bottle that shit up and stuff it down with the rest of us, okay?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But guess who comforts the visibly distraught Bear? Not Nikki or best friend Ian. Nope, the beautiful soul that is Sarah. She immediately notices there's a problem, asks Bear what happened, and hugs him in the middle of everybody to give him some comfort. She is the best person this movie has to offer. Sarah deserves justice, okay?
So pick me. Choose me. Love me.
Never fear, the stars align again and Nikki decides she wants to go home early for the night while Ian and Sarah continue bar hopping. Bear wisely offers to drive her home. This is a perfect opportunity, but he can't make himself speak up, and Nikki tells him she's putting in her 2-week notice at the movie store so she can focus on being a writer. Instead of realizing he's on a ticking clock and this would be the great moment to tell her, hey, how I feel, you know, Bear retreats into a shell, denies getting her a gift, which he already told her about, and lets her get out of the car. But not before even Nikki gets frustrated with his pussyfooting, flatly asks him if he likes her or not. Bro!
Tell her the truth!
I'm going to pull the curtain back here a little bit. Girls already know if you're interested in them. They want your attention and they enjoy the power they have in choosing whether to reciprocate your feelings or not. No matter how shocked they act, they're always aware of your desires, and if you have known them for any amount of time, they already weighed your appearance, physical and social attributes, and potential future growth in a complex mental equation they all intuitively understand, but we don't. Nikki is literally removing the barrier between them, but not content with just fumbling the ball. Bear would rather take it and run flat out to the wrong end zone. He tells Nikki he only sees her as a friend, and an obviously disappointed Nikki goes inside her house. My man could play for the Dallas Cowboys with this kind of game performance, okay?
Loses the football. It's picked up by Jim Marshall, who's running the wrong way. Marshall is running the wrong way. And he's running it into the end zone the wrong way. Thinks he scored a touchdown. He has scored a safety.
Upset with himself, Bear removes the one-wish willow from its package and snaps it, wishing Nikki loved him more than anyone in the world. Nikki immediately reappears outside and is basically willing to say anything for him to stay the night with her. Like he shouldn't be alone because his cat died, or her dad has cancer, which somehow he doesn't connect immediately with the wish he just made. I guess give her the benefit of the doubt. I know it doesn't really go with the be careful what you wish for theme, but I couldn't help but think of a happy ending version where Bear asked to replay the moment they just had instead. How many times have we all thought if we could just go back and say the one thing or change what we said to see what happened? I truly believe Nikki would have given him a shot if he had just believed in himself. Sadly, it's not that kind of movie. Nikki eventually talks Bear into taking her to his house to spend the night. She undresses and begs him to sleep in the same bed as her. But when she kisses him, she snaps back to herself and screams, which understandably freaks him out. When they wake up, Bear just kind of blows by the fact that she took Sandy's body out of the trash and made some fucked up memorial. He does say that's not okay, but I think a good
What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you?
would probably have been a more appropriate reaction. They go to work together and everyone just assumes, they're together because Nikki is literally unable to stop staring at Bear, but he still tries to play it off like he didn't wish for the exact same thing and she's acting weird.
Weird.
He manages to go back home without her and Googles One Wish Willow reviews to see if other people think that it works, which they do. My guy, you really don't need to do that. It's clearly working. Nikki shows up at his door, claims she was on Molly, and explains her clinginess and outburst from the night before on it. And then she confesses her deep love for him, which he blindly accepts, and they start dating. And here's a little issue. I would have preferred a concrete timeline. They play a montage of them being together in these happy little clips. It's not explained whether that's meant to be the same day, Bear's imagination, or like weeks worth of them doing stuff together. The characters in the mute store treat them like the one couple who's always all over each other in public.
What the fuck? Is this allowed? What the fuck? Is that allowed?
So I would have assumed that at least several days have passed, but that doesn't really jive with what comes later. Ian calls Bear while Nikki and he are on a date in a restaurant and tells him that Nikki told Sarah a while ago that she thought of Bear like a little brother.
Out
Touchdown population, you, bro!
And she doesn't talk to her dad, so she's probably lying about him having cancer. Thanks for finally showing up and telling your friends some crucial information, Ian. Better late than never, I guess, right?
It's about damn time.
They do a good job of recreating the embarrassment you feel when an IRL couple have a fight in public, because when Bear confronts her about this, Nikki stands up in the middle of everyone and starts screaming. And Bear really sells the reaction of feeling everyone turn to stare at you.
No, no, no.
What?
No, 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 don't do that!
That night, Bear wakes up to find Nikki isn't in bed anymore. And here comes another complaint I have. Film is a visual media, right? I cannot stand when it's so dark in a movie that I can't see a damn thing. And it seems to be an increasing phenomenon with movies from the last decade where I feel like I'm constantly watching that last battle from the Game of Thrones with the White Walkers.
What the fuck is going on?
I know the argument is that it's creepier, and that's cool if you feel that way, but I don't. It makes me feel like she's standing there awkwardly staring at him in the dark, which I don't find scary. If anything, I find it kind of funny. And guess what she's doing? Standing there, awkwardly in the dark, staring at him. But it's so dark, Bear can't even see her, so when he asks her what she's doing, she has to tootsie slide out of the corner to be visible for the conversation. I know it's a matter of taste, but I'd much prefer like a kind of witch from the Left 4 Dead approach where you can see her like rocking in the middle of the darkness, so you can't tell exactly what's going on. You still have that build-up anxiety where you don't know what it is. Anyway, Nikki yells at him because she doesn't feel like he loves her enough before he convinces her to come back to bed. When Bear wakes up the next day, he's relieved to be scheduled to go to work without Nikki so she can stay home without him. He underreacts to her wasting duct tape to take the door shut. I would have been like,
why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
Bear has a conversation with the angel that is Sarah, who is sad because she's been rejected from music school. They share a little warm embrace, and I've never seen someone more oblivious than this guy.
Come on, Dora, it's right over there! Obre los ojos! Come on!
Back to the timeline issue, this should be impossible, right? Sarah makes a comment about the weird smell of Bear's lunch, which he is currently eating, by the way, with no apparent issue. He takes a note out of the lunchbox Nikki has written that says he's eating cat.
Phrasing?
Bear throws up after realizing it's Sandy's remains. Here's the problem, though. Anyone who's ever dealt with death will be able to tell you there's no way she could have possibly done that without him immediately reacting to it. Even if the happy montage was in Bear's head, it has definitely been several days at this point. Sandy would have been rotted and smelled to high hell. The sequence could remain the same if Bear also immediately noticed the smell along with Sarah and still kept the same reaction, and everything would have been fine. I think it would have been better, instead of having Sandy die at the beginning of the movie, have a scene from the previous day where Bear talks about loving Sandy and show Nikki being jealous of the cat and she kills it to feed it to him. They would need to ditch the death and memorial scene from earlier, which I think would be okay because it's actually more impactful this way. Ian blames Bear for Nikki's personality change, accusing him of using her. When he's right, but I'm still on the fuck Ian train, so.
You suck!
He reluctantly invites Bear to a party, but tries to convince him to come without Nikki. Hate to break it to you, possessed or not, that was never going to happen. You tell a girl you're going to a party and she's not allowed to come, no matter if she says it's fine or not, the only correct outcome is...
I'm in danger!
Bear calls the customer service number on the back of the One Wish Willow to see if he can fix Nikki. The kid on the phone says he can't, and it'll only stop when he or Nikki dies, then asks if he would like to talk to Nikki, who you can hear in the background screaming. This is without a doubt the best scene in the movie, okay?
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Bear comes home to find Nikki hasn't moved from the spot in front of the door all day, pissing, shitting, and throwing up on herself.
Disgusting!
She thankfully takes a shower while he lightly scolds her about feeding his cat to him. Dude, she deserves way harsher than a...
We don't do that here.
When he tells her he's going to the party without her, she predictably spazzes out. I'm telling you, that's not just the demon talking there, dude.
Son of a bitch! You done messed up, Aaron!
So Bear folds and Nikki goes with him to the party. Everyone obviously hates the way Nikki's glued to him, so much so they try to physically separate them while playing a drinking game to make them more tolerable. Doesn't work though, because this demon turns out to be the biggest fucking buzzkill, okay? It reads a Nightmare Tumblr version of the incest Hansel and Gretel aloud, and the awkward silence following it feels like it drags on for an hour. Then when it's Bear's turn, he's supposed to kiss the person to his left, Sarah. But Nikki dramatically walks behind her and pulls her away from the table to take her place. Just when you think it can't get any worse, Nikki kisses him and she freaks out, screaming it isn't her, and stabs herself in the face with a bottle.
This party blows. I'm going home.
Bear takes her to the hospital and takes her home, where she threatens to do that thing that Jeffrey Epstein didn't do if he doesn't sleep with her. I know it would have been heartless, but good on Bear not calling in on his bluff after just having to sit through all that cringe he just had. I'd be like,
Do a flip!
probably would have saved him some trouble later. Bear gets a text message from Sarah asking him to come meet him at the park down the road. He tries to tell her it's not a good idea, but she threatens to come over to the house if he doesn't, so he agrees. While he's about to leave, the real Nikki starts talking him out of her sleep, asking him to kill her. She drops the hardest line of the movie when he asks why she'd rather die than be with him, and she says, "You've never been with me, Bear." Now, this may be a most contentious issue to some people. I know generally less is more, and the less you understand about something, the creepier it is. I feel like this movie could have had its cake with that and eaten it too, since Bear had the phone call with customer service earlier and hangs up when he hears Nikki screaming without having anything explained. Here, I would have liked him to actually spend some time with Nikki, asking her what exactly is happening to her. Who's in control? My going theory is that she's been possessed by a succubus who's puppeting her body through the wish Bear made, which is why she's screaming on the phone call because her soul's in hell. You may not care, but I'm fascinated with this occult shit, and I would like to have understood the mechanism of what's behind it. Your mileage may vary on that. Regardless, as it sits, it does a fantastic job highlighting how weak of a character Bear is, because he doesn't even consider her desires here. He's more interested in maintaining this relationship with whatever is inside Nikki, even when she flatly tells him it's against her will. He's the ultimate piece of shit in this moment, okay? I feel it could have been the same and come across the same way with getting more information, but you tell me if I'm wrong. Bear leaves to go meet with Sarah, and Lord help me, this is going to be such a gut punch. This is where she explains Nikki and Ian have been hooking up and thinks Nikki might be using them to get back at Ian. Sarah confesses that she has feelings for Bear, and they share this moment where it's also clear he could have had everything he ever wanted if he just had some balls, right? The music builds before ultimately Nikki shows up and literally smashes her face off with a brick. You fucking idiot. Why wouldn't you just ask her to drive away from the park and have this conversation while on the move? Sarah died through no fault of her own because this piece of shit couldn't think his way out of a paper bag. The only silver lining here is Bear doesn't deserve her, but now her life is over, all because this pussy couldn't gather the courage to talk to his crush. Fuck this guy. Anyways, Nikki tells Bear to leave and meet her at home after she disposes of the body. Bear finally tries to start doing something proactive about the situation and goes back to the store to buy more One Wish Willows. Problem I have here is he buys more than one. That implies to me that Bear has more of a brain than he has showed thus far. I think it would have fit better had he just bought the one rather than the two, because he only needs one wish to make it right. Right? He tries to break it himself, but since the package says you only get one wish, he figures out it has to be made by somebody else. And who does it go to? Fucking useless Ian. I would have rather bagged a homeless guy on the street than this tool, but here we are. Bear tries to explain what he needs, but Ian doesn't believe him because he blows, so he breaks one flippantly and wishing he has $1 billion. This is why I would rather Bear only have one, because it would show that he goes to the wrong person and puts his trust in them and wasted his last shot of redemption. And as for Ian goes, this fuck is going to get off really easily in my opinion. Dollars start raining from the ceiling to grant his wish, and Bear just leaves. What I would have wanted to happen instead is have Ian be crushed by the money. I don't know how many individual bills it would take to fill up a small space, but $1 billion will weigh over like 11 tons. Make them have this conversation in a small space, music store, bathroom, break room, whatever. Just make him instantly be crushed. It would reinforce the be careful what you wish for theme and be more interesting than what really happens. But in this continuity, Bear still has one, and he doesn't even try to use it. So why have it to begin with? He's just resigned to being a failure and walks into the house to find Nikki with Sarah's body, wearing her clothes and drawing herself with a Sharpie, trying to copy Sarah's tattoos to please him. Nikki apparently has a gun now and threatens to shoot Bear and herself if he doesn't want to be with her. Ian runs through the door to talk about the money he has and has the survival instincts of a teaspoon. Bear is actively being held at gunpoint by a visibly deranged Nikki. Sarah's dead body is visible in the kitchen sitting in a chair. And what does this retard do? Stand in the doorway and ask,
"What is going on here?"
Hey, shoot that guy.
Bang! Nikki drops Ian with a flick shot to the eyeball. This demon must have been the type of operator goon that provided security for Epstein's island in a previous life. Shitbag Ian is dead though, and nothing of value was lost. Even Barry just kind of ignores losing his last friend, but he has elected to go down the sewer slide, so maybe that's why. He convinces Nikki that he wants to be with her, and she lets him go to the bathroom. Bear picks up the remaining pills that killed Sandy and downs the rest of the bottle. Except he can't even commit to that because he's not even a minute later trying to shove his fingers down his throat and make himself throw up. As luck would have it, though, Nikki has found the remaining One Wish Willow he left outside and presumably makes the same wish he did. Bear immediately stops and in a trance comes back out to kiss Nikki, who finally looks happy. But Bear starts to foam in the mouth and chokes, collapsing to the floor to die. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out opioid overdose does not happen that quickly. Nikki sits on the couch and begins to turn the gun on herself before her trance breaks and credits roll as she hysterically wails surrounded by her dead friends. This ending is good. The movie has been great. It's a case study on the weak, flawed character that is Bear not understanding second and third order effects on the lives of the others around him and serves his own selfishness. But leaving Nikki the sole survivor and having directly killed 2 out of the 3 friends with no closure as to Bear's part in the chaos depresses me so much that I don't want to watch the movie again. So for my last change, I'm going to offer a softer ending that gives a little redemption to Bear. Have him ignore getting the 3rd willow altogether, accept responsibility for his actions, take the pills, and use his last hours to write a letter apologizing to Nikki and taking credits for the death of Sarah and Ian. Let him ask Nikki to lie down with him the same way she did the first night, and let him fade away staring at her thinking about what could have been. Then the real Nikki can set up out of her trance with a scream of black as the credits roll. And that is how this millennial will make the obsession better. What do you think? Do you like what I had to say, or do you prefer the movie as it is? Please let me know in the comments down below. Like and dislike the video. Your engagement will help me get this channel out there. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.